And we're back. We've had 4 series played throughout the grand final so far, Merlini. 3 have gone the full 3 games. And this one, well, certainly this is one that many think could be a repeat in the grand finals. One of these teams will be falling down the comes up short. The other team will be punching their ticket to the grand finals with a 1-game advantage. So very, very important coming up here. Vici and LGD. We saw LGD able to just kind of grind out Vici in game 1. But game 2, that was the quintessential Vici sort of a lineup, Vici sort of a build. Super on Pugna in particular went absolutely berserk. Sylar back on the Lone Druid, didn't have success with it in game 1. Found it in game 2. Looking ahead, are those two heroes we can expect to see banned? Very well, check that. We're not going to see them banned early on as the draft is already going. But does LGD just offer to let those slide? Vici, do you immediately decide to build that kind of a lineup again?
I think you ban Pugna in the second phase for LGD.
Wow. Very fast.
Yeah, they definitely have to ban Pugna now. With the Chen Lone Druid pickup, that was also very fast too. Yep. They expected a first pick Doom from LGD because they've been doing it every opportunity that they've been given, and they banned it out in the second game. Yep. So Vici, they will be looking to push early. There is no Venomancer. There is hopefully be no Pugna out either. But if Vici gets Pugna and LGD doesn't get something fantastic in return, then it's just going to be a very, very quick game, I think. Just because LGD hasn't been able to get an early game lead either in either of these 2 games. And their like laning mechanics are like slightly worse than Vici's, and the rotations are slightly worse than Vici's too. They make up for it in execution and team fights, as we saw in the first game, but sometimes it doesn't even get there just because of the hero disparities.
I think you make a fantastic point there, my friend. It's Vici had so much success in game 2 just because they never let LGD get comfortable enough to begin executing and 5-manning, which is their bread and butter. And with the Chen and Lone Druid pick up early, I love the fact that they took Chen so early. And certainly got it with the Lone Druid. Chen's going to be able to apply pressure to a variety of lanes if they want to take that approach early on to free up some space for Sylar. And on top of that, just getting the bear plus whatever Chen creeps are available. And Vici, I would expect moving forward. I mean, they're going to obviously, no Pugna as LGD does ban that out. And Vici likewise takes away the IO pick from LGD. They don't want to give them a chance to snag another tiny pick for Rabbit. But the fact that they're going to be able to not only still expect they'll try to get rumors. We saw them last game with a very well played Vengeful Spirit, even a hero most of us didn't expect. So looking into the second pick phase here, do you think Vici ends up going pure out and out push, or do you think they will go with sort of a hybrid lineup like we saw last game?
I think it's a hybrid lineup. I think they can first pick DK coming out of the second ban phase. And there is still Visage in the pool, surprisingly. Visage hasn't been taken up by either team. I think LGD can take it after Vici's pick. But again, Visage is not that good at anti-push either. And that is something that they're going to have to worry about. Chen and Lone Druid is a very, very strong opener coming out from Vici.
Well, LGD getting rid of 2 superheroes in the Pugna and the Storm. I really like that they banned out the Storm. And whenever you run any kind of a lineup like this, and there you call it, a Dragon Knight picked immediately. 0 hesitation while LGD snags the Visage. Now they have all of the push they want. It's just down to the supporting cast. How did they want to handle that? They've got their hard farmer and Sylar's Druid, and the Dragon Knight, ostensibly, one would imagine, for Super. It's just, what do they want to accomplish, in terms of outside of the strengths they've already drafted? Do they want to continue to just build on that, or they want to add some diversification? And I think you make a great point in terms of anti-push. They don't have a ton of it on the side of LGD. That's obviously going to be a problem. Still 2 slots to draft into those, so they still have some room to try and slow things down a little bit.
Yeah, Vici could just do something like a Shadow Demon or Leshrac. Or just a Leshrac, I think, to augment their push. There's still 1 support slot open. Leshrac is pretty difficult, though, to like smoking with unless you have a partner. Chen Leshrac is like mediocre, but it is one of the few supports that adds a lot to taking down early towers. And I'm very surprised that LGD went with this sort of draft, especially considering what happened to the last game. Last game, they pretty much stood no chance against a push. And Vici, I'm also surprised that they banned out OD, because OD had free farm for like 15 minutes last game, yet did absolutely nothing when it came to team fights. So I don't think that Vici would be scared of an OD pick at all.
I'd really like to see out of Vici just some sort of of spammable AoE coming out. As, you know, something just to go with what they already have. I mean, they already have the ability to swarm. They're going to have Dragon Knights breathe fire, and just something to toss out there to augment that. Someone with a disable, or Rubik even, just with Fade Bolt and Telekinesis can see that being effective. Just not a whole lot that's all that great to steal from LGD, so that might be a bit of a deterrent there. Visage, I mean, if you can steal his familiars, that's excellent. Crystal Maiden, decent spells. Doom, if you can still Doom, it's excellent. Everything else kind of so-so across the board, but they're burning through their time. They're down to just 10 seconds now as they've languished over this 4th position pick, and it will be a Nature's Prophet, so they are going to go 100% overboard in terms of push potential.
LGD needs more AoE. Their AoE is just very, very weak right now. How are they going to stop an army of Chen creeps as well as a Nature's Prophet Treants, and on top of that, the Lone Druid Bear and the Dragon Knight in Dragon form beating on their tower? There's nothing really to start off a fight. And firstly, they need to be able to clear a creep wave. And that's the first step to stopping their push. And secondly, they just need some big team fight. And Doom is like okay in team fight, but you're not going to Doom the Bear, especially early in the game. That's fairly useless. Nature's Prophet can just get sent back from Chen in case he gets doomed. If you doom the Chen, I guess that's nice, but he still has his creeps. So they're kind of in a tough decision when it comes to team fight. Luna is okay, but there's nothing really to clear the creeps for Eclipse to be useful. So I think their last pick needs to be something that's very heavy into AoE, like Timbersaw or something of the sort.
I'm a little curious about the Luna pick, to be honest. I mean, when you look at LGD, one thing they're lacking in quite a bit is out-and-out disable. I mean, they've got Visage with Grave Chill as a slow. They've got Nova from Crystal Maiden. Frostbite is probably the only thing you would really consider a disable. And, you know, Doom, maybe if he steals Net or steals Stomp, then you have a little bit of a disable there. Vici, they're going to have all of Chin's creeps. They're going to have Lone Druid's Roots. They're going to have Dragon Tail. And to a lesser extent, they'll have Sprouts. So whenever you talk about teamfight potential, I mean, the mobility alone on Vici, just because of the Nature's Prophet, is going to be enough to trump a lot of movement from LGD. And Luna, as we've seen time and time again, can get bullied around if she stutters even a little bit in her item progression. So I feel like LGD, I mean, they have a pretty decent composition. It's easy to see what they're going for and what they're up to. But yeah, there's that Rubik pick out of Vici. That's kind of what I expected to see. But LGD, I feel like they have very little room for error. They're going to have to execute, and if they stutter even a little, Vici has a composition that instead of just punishing you in a team fight, they'll punish you in a team fight and then take 1, maybe 2 towers off of it.
LGD, they have a lot of burst too, but Vici has a lot of things that are good against burst, like Chen heal, Chen send back too, and I would heavily favor Vici's lineup over LGD's at this point, especially given the playstyle of both these teams. If LGD were like really good at controlling the map and as well as being very good in the laning phase, then maybe they can execute it, but I think most of their strengths comes from teamfight execution and just team fighting in general, and Vici's lineup in the hands of LGD would be incredible, but Vici with that lineup is going to be incredibly difficult to stop.
I very much agree. I mean, when I look at LGD's lineup, I mean, even for Doom, like, well, who do you Doom? I mean, if Dragon Knight's already in Elder Dragon form, maybe you can prevent him from spamming Dragon Tail and Breathe Fire, but still, he's not the best target. Rubik, I guess, is a decent one. They're actually going to snag an Invoker for Yao. And to tell you the truth, I think that shores up a lot of issues for them. I mean, Invoker, depending on how he builds, you know, depending on how he decides to build and where he ends up running, Quaswex, if he, you know, even if he just transitions to a Quaswex build eventually, just having Tornado EMP to help try to slow down the push of Vici to give them a little bit of more initiation potential, because until that Invoker pick, who was their initiator? Like, what were they going to do to start these fights? I mean, Vici doesn't really have that problem because they have such a swarm mentality between the Chen, the Lone Druid, and the Nature's Prophet. But yeah, getting to see the Invoker pick up, that's going to be a very important position for LGD. They need a lot out of Yao.
Yeah, I think the Quaswex build is ideal against 5-on-5 push. So they're definitely going to need that EMP, though. Invoker was a fantastic pick. It makes up for a lot of weaknesses in their lineup. Lack of AoE, lack of team fight, and Invoker is pretty good at both of those, although he does need a lane to thrive in. Yep. It's not terribly difficult to lane against a DK, though, if they want to put him in mid. It shouldn't be too difficult to lane against the Nature's Prophet either, so he should find success wherever they place him, unless he gets tri-lane by Vici, but their tri-lane's not that strong. It's mostly just going to be, oh, I see a smoke already from LGD.
Zhao, 8 leading the way, and there's going to be some kill potential as Vici is heading into their own.
It's the Exort already on Invoker too.
Yep. That's kind of what I would expect. I mean, it's hard to tell where he's going to end up right off the bat, but either way, he needs Exhort really to be able to hold his own, at least for the first few levels. Transitioning after
They see
that.
super.
DD, Zhao 8, and this position right here we see all the time. We've seen it more than a few times. Very key position for the scouter to be in. Rabbit gets off the Lucid Beam, but that's going to be all the damage done, as unsurprisingly Super on top of things and reacting very quickly. And they're continuing to kind of shove their way around.
I think we've seen that same smoke like 3 or 4 times in this tournament. I think that teams can be a little bit more unpredictable and just straight smoke through this way and then just wrap around from behind in case someone is at that point. So I think teams need to be a little bit more creative, because that's wasted 100 gold from LGD. None of them will be able to block as effectively as they would normally. Yao is only at the T2 tower, Xiaowei unable to block at all at bottom, and they lost a lot from that early game. Although they did get an observer ward up here, Fenrir is able to find it though with a couple of sentry wards, or with 1 sentry ward. So Vici already doing very well in this early game. DDC did secure the illusion rune too, so maybe he can use that to block FY's big spawn.
Yao, first point into Exhort, he'll be going one-on-one against Super, who will be on the Dragonite. In fact, probably helps if I just tell you who's playing everyone, right? Zhao 8 will be playing on our Doom. He's heading to bottom lane. He'll be up against ROTK's and Nature's Prophet on the other side. Visage going to be handled by DDC this time around. He'll be joined by DD. And be up against Sylar and Fenrir, at least for the moment. Also in lane, Rabbit setting up shop here to help out. This is going to be a triple ranged Luna tri-lane, offensive tri-lane. So once she starts getting points into Lunar Blessing, there is going to be a fair amount of harass potential, especially against Fenrir. If he happens to get caught out, he'll die very, very quickly. Moving down back to mid against Super versus Zhao, and we'll watch how Yao decides to build here. I mean, seeing him go solo mid, not a surprise. Seeing him start with at least a couple points in Exhort won't be a surprise, but I think we're both in agreement that at least transitioning to a Quas Wex fairly early going to be essential for them to help deal with what Vici can bring to bear. And nope, Centaur actually dies off as FY spends his Holy Persuasion to take another creep.
He wasted a sentry over here, so he won't be able to deward the creep spawn here. They don't have enough damage to make use of FY's gank. Well, maybe they will. Let's see. He has a Troll Summoner.
Troll comes out. Net will... Nope, never mind. Telekinesis managed to stun a couple, but no commitment out of Vici. The other 2 lanes seem to be fairly status quo, so we'll be keeping...
Doom's doing amazingly on bottom. 8 and 4 compared to ROTK's 2 creep kills. So... he does have a ton more base damage, 67 compared to 58, but ROTK has the aid of the Treant's right click too at 22, so I don't think that ROTK should be that far behind in the lane.
Doom picking up a bottle as well, so he should be able to do quite well, but ROTK, as you mentioned, kind of getting beaten
FY
around.
blocked the spawn too.
Very nice. They managed to get the bear in top lane. That's a free 300 gold and a nice little coup, forcing the resummon out of Sylar. It's going to be 3 minutes until he gets another one up. They'll know that they'll be able to kill it again in that amount of time. As you mentioned, Doom doing well. The mids actually trading fairly evenly. Invoker at 10 CS, 11 CS for each of them now, actually. And the Luna sitting at about 8 here. And Sylar, even though he's under some pressure, is getting the job done fairly well, sitting at 5, though a gap is beginning to open up a little bit.
Yep, yeah, constantly orb switching to maximize that efficiency on the regen. We see Nature's Prophet not going for the boots early, instead going for the Ring of Basilius, so he can pressure Xiaowei's tower a little bit. But he does have the Scorch Earth, he can devour the Treants too, so it's not that bad for Doom, even though he traditionally isn't seen as an anti-push hero.
And we can see Fenrir spotted by DDC. Going to take a little bit of right-click damage, but nothing too concerning. 2 points in the Lucent Beam and 1 into Lunar Blessing for Luna, so already we can see, as long as they're nearby, fair amount of bonus damage.
They finally get the Sentry Ward, but it's already blocked the 0 to 3 minute spawn, or 30 seconds to 3 minute spawn, so it's already served its use, and the Sentry Ward was about to expire anyway, so Vici forced to spend a lot of gold trying to deward, and Chen is still fairly under-leveled, 2.5, 3.5 minutes in.
About 4 minutes in, as you said, and things staying pretty quiet. Feel like this is going very well for LGD up in this top lane. There was Sylar.
Quiet is good for LGD.
Sylar continuing to have some problems in terms of finding his CS elsewhere, but now up under his own tower should do just fine. And elsewhere, everything else is staying pretty quiet. Again, taking a look at Yao, he has put 3 points into Exhort. And we'll see when and if he decides to go with a Quas-Wex hybrid build.
There's a tornado out on a rabbit too, and FY is doing his darn best to try and secure some farm up for Siler. CS is not that poor, 12-3, but nothing like his last game. See ROTK pick up a DD on bottom, Xiao 8. Ooh, he may actually try and go for ROTK. ROTK forced to use a Sal already. He does have boost though.
Yeah.
Oh, he's wow. Xiao 8 trying to fight against a DD ROTK. I don't know if that's the best decision. Oh.
Yeah, eating a lot of free damage.
Yeah, Doom has very little armor, so DD just does a ton of damage.
Hey, don't forget the buff. That, but 5 minutes in, not a single kill on the board, continuing to just watch how this top lane plays itself out. Rabbit now with 2 points in the Lunar Blessing. Fair amount of bonus damage, up to 22 per auto attack for this 3-range tri-lane. In mid, we see Super has found level 6 and has already used his Elder Dragon form. Yao, in the meantime, using his Forged Spirits to help free up a little bit of space. I mean, based on the way things have gone, hang on, ROTK doomed and caught with a Sunstrike, and this will be our first blood, most certainly. And Xiao 8 working well with Yao, managing to get first blood from a distance.
Yeah, this early game is going exceptionally well for LGD. They drafted a little bit greedier, but at the same time, they still can team fight. So it's a much better draft than last game, and already the early game is going exceptionally well for them. FY just not doing anything on the Chen right now. He's trying his best to do some work with the Wild King, but he doesn't have a creep right now. He's only level 2. He's not even level 3 yet. He hasn't been able to stack at all, and all his efforts have been trying to secure farm for Siler, but Siler is still number 6 in terms of CS. 10 full creeps behind Luna.
You know, during the draft, we were talking about this, and I'm really, really happy that LGD did follow through with it. I mean, whenever you're up against the Chen, this is something that we see time and time again. You know, you come into an offensive position like this, especially whenever you have nice synergy between the abilities of DD, DDC, the bonus damage on the 3-range.
Xiaoi's going to get caught out. Oh, he actually was able to ball it ROTK. If he had killed that or taken that rune, Xiao would have died right there. So a little bit of slow reaction from ROTK. Oh, he might actually die.
Sunstrike off the mark that time, and ROTK going to double back and try to find him. And there are the Treants ready to block him in. Level death on ROTK, doing good damage though. And we'll go ahead and TP back to safety as his Treants chase him away. But back to the Chen and this aggressive tri-lane. Being able to force Chen's efforts into wasted time efforts like this. This is the kind of thing they should have been doing a long time ago. Smoking FY and Fenrir out towards mid, but already Yao, level 7, has 1 point into Wex, so he can QQ walk away as needed. And Ghost Walk might be needed to save him here. Here we go. Dragon Tail, Telekinesis to follow it up. He's being blown up, and down he goes. Nature's Prophet going to come in, and they're going to look to push off of that. And FY hooking up with ROTK.
He's actually a little bit too slow. Notice that he actually invoked Ghost Walk, but wasn't able to press it off in time. Yep. So he wasn't disabled for the whole entire duration. DDC going to get caught off too. He uses smoke for some reason.
Yep. Wrong button. Going to imagine that was supposed to be his wand charges. And a nice turnaround as LGD, who looks so good, gives up 2 in a row and may end up giving up a tier 1 mid. Double reaction, Xiao 8's there. He's going to be sprouted in immediately. Here come 2 more. Xiao 8 down, Sunstrike's going to be there. They group together and eat it and spread that damage. Very wise out of Vici. And LGD might try to get some payback. Frostbite on the Super, gets off the Dragon Tail first. 1 auto attack though from Yao, enough to secure a return kill. So they end up breaking even kill-wise, going 2-2 over the first 8 minutes. But LGD loses a tower first. One nice thing about this, though, and this is why getting Chen active is so important, they managed to free up some room for Siler, who can now play catch-up.
Yeah, it's very nice of him to draw them away from top lane. He wasn't getting anything accomplished for top lane, so he has to seek elsewhere to just force LGD to run around the map and lose towers. They lost the first tower on top or on mid. Siler was pressuring top 2, and now the tower's at like 700 HP, and Siler finally gets some space to breathe. He does have phase boots again. He loves his phase boots on his hero, and then the Radiant Charge without a Midas. I don't think Siler's gotten Midas in any of the series, any of the games that we've seen in this series.
And Fenrir looking for his own level 6, being left for a moment to his own devices. Super, though, happy to reclaim that mid lane. Super's got 900 gold, and looking at what Super's going to be up against here, out of LGD, you think this is a game where he flat rushes a BKB, or maybe does he try something different?
I think he has to rush a BKB. There's so much magic damage coming out from LGD in between Visage, Eclipse, Invoker, Crystal Maiden. I think he has to be up in the front lines too. So he needs to BKB this game.
DD has picked up a set of Tranquil Boots, so he's moving and hustling. Sylar's in trouble, in big trouble. Going to be frostbitten down after the Nova. Sunstrike's going to be there as well, and this is a very high priority kill for LGD. That erases, oh, hang on, they actually end up getting one back. Super now gonna be doomed. Xiao 8 hung on to it, and Super in trouble. ROTK comes in, gets a Sprout off, but the Eclipse is there. And ROTK now getting some help from behind. Rabbit's gonna be telekinesed and finished off by Fenrir. In the meantime, DDC caught by the Centaur. Manages to get off the Soul Assumption before dying himself, but Xiao 8 using a stomp of his own and trying to do what damage he can. Fenrir managed to steal stomp. And it ends up being another break even, 5-5 as we cross 10 minutes. Another well-shot Sunstrike from Yao. Taking a look at the gold graph, we can see it's a very tight game. Less than 1,000 gold separating the teams. The experience just a smidge over 2,000 in favor of LGD.
LGD is a tower down too, and they're still ahead in gold. That's very, very surprising. And Xiao 8 is so tanky right now. He was in a 1v2 situation, but he did not give any flips because he has Vanguard and he has a ton of HP, almost 1,400 HP at this point too. Invoker wasn't at this fight at all, but he does have his Midas. Invoker, very, very level dependent hero. And LG came out way on top of that because they got 3 very important heroes too. They managed to kill Dragon Knight, Nature's Prophet, as well as Lone Druid. Luna died in the process, but Invoker is still able to free farm it up. And look at the last sets of knives, we see 3 LGD heroes on the top right now.
We're gonna see a little bit of pressure applied to bottom, but reaction's already there. DD and Rabbit are there. In the meantime, at top, Fenrir left to fend off this push alone. Looks like he's going to go ahead and pull back. Probably. Nope, never mind. Just grabbing some items. Spotted out by the Visage familiar, so they know exactly where he is. DDC going to loop around. Here comes some help. And Fenrir eating some damage from the familiar. Super's going to be there. DDC has...
Oh, he has familiars.
Managed to get familiars. And that's as good as he possibly could have hoped for in this game. And ROTK there, nice Sprout. DDC locked down, telekinesis to allow them to finish him up, and Xiao 8 can do nothing but retreat now. In the meantime, at bottom, though, Rabbit and DD left to free farm. They might decide to go ahead and split push this out.
Yeah, that's a big mistake by the Visage there. He gave up both his familiars. He gave them 2 familiars. He gave him a kill, and he gave him a tower because of the death, too. That was just very aggressive by them. Like, even if they had killed the Rubik over there would have been a TP response, and they would have had to use Doom, I think, to kill him. So that was very, very aggressive.
Double damage expiring on Super. We'll get a couple of pot shots off beforehand, but another Sprout on the Xiao 8. No follow-up for
He's the wrong hero to go on.
Here come the, very nice Nova, slowed them all down, and Xiao 8 trying to pursue out. Here comes the TPM. They may decide to take a fight here. DD being blocked a bit by the Forge Spirit. Super going to come back out, do a little bit of damage as the rest of LGD decides to huddle under their own tier 1. Super's Elder Dragon form does wear off, though, and that'll be the mark for retreat. FY is very close to his mechanism. That is such an important item in terms of just being able to do what they just did, to not only push, to not only take fights, but to sustain afterwards. He only needs another 80 gold or so, and they're going to have a mech up. So at this point, Sylar went phase boots on himself. He's got 2,100 gold on the way to a relic and eventually a radiance, though.
ROTK is very poor too. He is number 6 on net worth right now, has not completed his Midas 13 minutes in yet. And that's with the help of 2 towers too. So Sylar, he's doing okay, as you said, 2,200 gold in his inventory. Doom, by far number 1 net worth, 1,000 gold ahead of Invoker, who is just barely ahead of the Dragon Knight. We see a 3-man smoke coming out from Yao, DDC and DD, looking to get a kill on ROTK right before he finishes Midas, 1,400 gold, 1,450 gold in his name.
Dual smoke, as Vici is also smoking around. They might run smack into each other, as, yep, they will. VG coming in from the backside, and LGD going to run straight through the lane. They're going to go on ROTK. ROTK might be able to buy just enough time for his teammates to get there to help, and he's baiting them into it. And FY right on the edge, and not a whole lot he can do. Actually just gives up the free kill, but there's a Doom on the Super. Super can't do much. Nice stomp, managed to get a couple of stuns off. Hand of God used to extend this fight. Here comes ROTK off the buyback. Super still in trouble, will end up dying to the Doom. DDC gonna be sprouted in. FY in some trouble now as well, eating a lot of pure burst damage. Got off Test of Faith, but in the meantime, cleaned up on his own as the rest decide to retreat. So that's a 2-for-0 exchange, going the way of LGD.
3-for-0.
Yeah, 3-for-0 as ROTK actually bought back and contributed very, very little, but off of that.
They killed ROTK so fast that they weren't able to do anything. And ROTK didn't even buy his Midas before that. So now he's 600 gold away from his Midas, when previously he was just 100 gold away.
Invoker has gone with a pure Quas Exhort build. No Wex needed.
Also, Chen did not have enough mana to send back the DK. They probably could have gotten out with minimal losses. Just send back the Dragon Knight during Doom and try and run away from there. ROTK might get picked off again.
And Sunstrike actually shot well behind him, but not going to matter. Lucent Beam plus one more auto attack. Secures a kill for DD, now 1-1 and 4. Zhao 8
Boy.
now has his own mechanism up as well, so LGD evening the score on that front. And at 9-6, 15 minutes in, we can see LGD beginning to take a major lead, and this is problematic for Vici. Vici has a great push lineup, but they really need to take momentum and run with it instead of what this is a lot of back and forth, and LGD coming out ahead in gold and experience.
LGD is in a fantastic position right now. Being up ahead in gold and being even in towers right now is just exactly what Vici does not want to happen at this point in the game. Siler is getting his farm on though, but he doesn't even have his relic. There's an easy tower. Vici does get the last hit. Looks like Vici is trying to pressure bottom and top at the same time.
Down at bottom, Super helping push down the tower with ROTK. Here comes the TPN from Yao. He did get a Midas of his own.
Smart move by ROTK. He had a treant over here too. This is a very common TP spot because you can't actually see it with the creaser up here, and then you can just wait for a second TP and initiate and then kill. So very smart of him to put that Nature's Call treant there.
Taking a look at where we stand net worth wise, you can see the top three, all belonging to LGD, and by quite a margin. Siler's farm, and not that spectacular, struggled very early on in that top lane, and now they're going to try to run down Siler again. He's sitting at 5,400 net worth compared to the 7,400 of Doom. So Zhao 8 doing an excellent job so far. Has gone Vanguard mechanism, so very tanky on his part. 11 armor, and of course the mech heal. And Vici right now, this is not where they want to be. It feels like they're dodging fights. You don't want to be dodging fights if you're Vici with this kind of a lineup.
Yeah, LGD is, I mean, Doom is so tanky right now. He can just run in and kind of do Dragon Knight's job, except Dragon Knight gets doomed if he runs in. Whereas Doom, if he runs in, if he gets DK Sun, it doesn't even matter. He has Vanguard, he has Mech, he has 1,600 HP too, with 7 armor. So he's not going to fall very quickly at all. Vici doesn't actually have that much burst either. Yeah, they have like Fade Bolt and Test of Faith, but that's only going to do a minor dent in Doom's HP right now. They really need the Radiance up on Siler as soon as possible so they can actually start killing people in team fights. Siler just picked up his relic, so it looks to be like a 19-20 minute Radiance. ROTK, ooh,
manages to make it away just barely. As Doom had his eye on him, they look like they're ready to start pushing this bottom lane, and Vici again smoking up at top. They're going to have a chance to catch DD, and you don't want to lose anyone, but if you're going to lose any hero in a situation like this, it's worth losing a Crystal Maiden more so than anyone else. And LGD still in a fairly dominant position, but decent pick for Vici.
Yep. Yeah, killing a CM is whatever, and I mean, even if they had ran into LGD top, like let's say, for example, LGD was trying to smoke King Siler, they only have 2 people up there. So if LGD comes with like 3 or 4, that smoking just goes completely awry, and they would have just gotten wrecked. So just not that effective with smoking there.
18-minute phase Midas for ROTK. So it actually has a Bassi too, in fairness, but still struggling. Zhao 8 under cover of an Invis rune, hanging around. DDC right there with him as is Zhao and Rabbit. And looks like they're going to be able to clean this out a little bit. And there's that spammability I was talking about. Just having Breathe Fire and Fade Bolt just to help shove things in or shove things out as needed. And looks like someone dropped a BKB recipe that was Luna, who has finished her BKB, and they may go ahead and decide to take a pure out-and-out fight.
They want to fight because they'll get the jump with a Doombringer being invisible.
DD, 4 staffs in, Fenrir caught by the Frostbite, Lucent Beam and some auto attacks, brings him down again, meching through what little damage they absorbed, and able to bring down the tower fairly easy. They did glyph to try and slow down Sylar, who did manage to take down a tier 2 of his own, but Sylar is not really ready to fight at this point. He's only got the Relic, not the Radiance. Has to go back to defend though, as LGD wants a tier 3, Alacrity used on Rabbit, and Breathe Fire, just not enough. Look at this tower melt.
ROTK pressuring the T3 on bottom.
Super eating a lot of damage, caught by Cold Snap as well, and doing a lot of damage from distance. Here comes Sylar. Bear's going to be frostbitten down, and Doom managed to get the Doom off onto Super. He will end up being sent back by Chen, so he'll make it away safely. Zhao 8 going to be sprouted and telekinesed. Comes back down to ground, uses Stomp to secure his own retreat. In the meantime, at top, we can see Rabbit had to head home, but being able to bring down the tier 3, not as nice as taking down a set of racks, but at short of 20 minutes in, they'll certainly take it.
Nice job by FY saving Super there. Super got doomed up at like 300 HP. He had Cold Snap on him, able to heal him and send him back home to safety. And yeah, they did defend their racks, but still losing a T3 this early in game, 20 minutes is not where you want to be. ROTK able to apply some pressure now that LGD has a manager group of S5, and Vici immediately goes for Roshan, knowing that Doom is down.
ROTK TP's in, and Roche dropping fairly quickly right now.
Sylar has his Radiance now too, so this is a very, very good time for Vici to fight.
Yao's going to spot this out, as Cold Snap and Forge Spirit, it's invoked. And there we go, and Fenrir actually managed to steal Forge Spirits. And DD can't hang around. Here we go, Ice Wall's down, Bear's caught out, he's gonna be frostbitten down. If they can get the Bear, that'd be a huge win for them, and they will be able to clean it up. In the meantime, Treants tanking through Roshan. A little bit of trading in the paint so far. Sylar had to spend his resummon, so it's gonna be 2 minutes before he has a second Bear again. LGD poking their nose into the pit to make sure it's genuinely clear.
ROTK just left. It could be a 4-on-5 if they want to initiate right now for a good 15 seconds.
Zhao 8 still has about a quarter time left on his DD. Looks like they're just going to go ahead and clear out. They want to go ahead and push and dare Vici to duck into the pit. DDC sitting right next to Roshan.
3 Forge Spirits, and none of them are Invokers.
Yep. And yeah, they want the tier 2. Vici decides to withdraw and try to set their heels a bit.
Eventually, ROTK is going to be pressing her tier 3, so one person on LGD is going to have to head home very, very soon, unless they want to just take out Roshan. They need to make a move very quickly, though, or else they're just going to lose a T3 for nothing. They're actually going to lose Roshan or the T3.
And FY still keeping an eye on things. They're going to have to send someone home.
Yep, Xiaowei's backing. That's their cue to go into the pit. Unless it's a fake TP. Nope, not a fake TP.
Radiant's bottom tower has been denied.
Zhao 8 denies the bottom tower. In the meantime, Vici looking to take Roshan. The Visage Familiars are there. Got to get off the stun to try and delay things a bit. They've got some support.
There's no way they can defend this.
Roshan very nearly down, and they're going to come out and try to fight it. In the meantime, yep, there it goes. Druid takes the Aegis, and that's just a very cerebrally played last 5 minutes or so out of Vici. Like you said, they forced LGD into a position where they had to pick their poison. Do you give up Roshan or do you give up a tier 3?
I think that LGD could have taken the fight, though. As soon as ROTK TP'd away, they can push up this hill with BKB, and or just get Doom to run up the hill so they get vision and then fight there. It's not a good position at all to fight here, especially if he like sprouts 1 or 2 heroes on the right side of the cliff and everyone else is forced on the bottom side of the cliff. But ROTK wasn't there, so it was risky, I guess, to do that, but I mean, LGD, after that fails, they pretty much did the best thing they could do, which is just split push and defend and farm up and give up a free Roshan, though. Because if they lose the fight at Roshan and ROTK TPs, they get the Roshan and probably a T3, so it's far too risky for them to venture forth into the pit.
Take a look at DDC. He's getting dangerously close to a Scepter, and speaking of Scepters, first one out for Yao as well. And
Yao's really farmed.
Yeah, he is. Early Midas pickup, 4 staff has kept him alive. He's had a really good game. I mean, there's really no other way to say it. Sitting at 2-1 and 4, he did die once, but has had a great game. And speaking of great games, Zhao 8 has looked phenomenal. Zhao 8 actually has 4,300 gold of his own in his inventory, so we'll see if he wants to go something like a counter Radiance or if he wants to go something a little bit more unorthodox. Rabbit, in the meantime, is gone with the farming approach with the Helm of the Dominator after the initial BKB build-out. Fenrir, just kind of running around with an urn and so forth. Back to the Chen. He's actually building a 4-staff of his own, so mobility very highly prized across the board. Super, of course, with the BKB of his own, has 10 seconds on it next time they decide to take a fight.
Now LGD is just waiting to look for a good pick on Vici. They don't want to force a team fight right now because Sylar has the Aegis. So just wait for another 4.5 minutes. If Vici doesn't want to make a move, whatever, we'll just farm it up. We have our Midas. You guys have your Midas too. And it'll be, the gold graph should stay relatively stable for the next couple of minutes. If Vici doesn't decide to make a move, it's really on Vici. LGD's more the reactionary position. And they can actually gank like ROTK over someone if they're out alone, but they don't have very good vision across the map right now. All they have is this lone observer ward on their own Ancients, which sees none of Vici's heroes right now, bar Super.
Shiva's Guard, the pickup for Doom, so certainly addressing his lack of armor, up to 22 armor now. He's hitting
so hard to kill.
Yeah, he's not hitting particularly hard now, but he doesn't need to, at least at this stage of the game. Invoker is in a position where he can be of much higher value, and especially with his Scepter up now, being able to spend as many spells as he possibly can. ROTK has picked up a book, and he's very close to upgrading it to book 2. So everyone kind of progressing with their items at a decent little clip. We take a look at the gold, it's still a heavy LGD advantage, bordering on 7,500 gold. The experience a much closer affair, but as we move into the mid-game now, Merlini, I mean, LGD obviously at the advantage. BG, where do they stand? Like they obviously had a real nice sequence where they took Roshan. Is it just all-out aggression from this point, or do they have to play it a little bit more thinly?
Try and get an objective completed with the with the Aegis, and then try and secure the next Roshan too, because they have the split push potential. Xiao 8 managed to pop their smoke and escape, so they still have 3 minutes left on the Aegis. They don't need to play too. They still need to play carefully, but they can take a few more risks now. Let Sylar go up in front. Hopefully, the Radiance burn will burn them down during the fights, especially with the Aegis. So, I mean, after that, just get map control, split push with the RTK, put some pressure, take next Roshan, and then after that, you try and focus Invoker or Duke down in fights.
And here we go. Xiao 8 caught out, and as tough as he is to kill, not that tough now. Rabbit pops BKB and the Eclipse. Sylar ends up dropping, so the Aegis is spent. They get FY as well. ROTK in some trouble, and the Eclipse turned back around. Very well played by Fenrir, stealing Eclipse to turn that fight around. DDC in some trouble, being pursued and burned away by the Urn and the Radiance burn. And DD not in much better shape as they manage to track him down. And we see poor DDC actually smoked to get himself back to safety. Big play from Fenrir there, stealing the Eclipse and turning it back against LGD. So Vici narrows the margin in terms of kills, narrows the margin in terms of gold and towers. In fact, they now lead by 1 tower, and I'm sure we're going to see a heavy dip in that gold graph by the time all is said and done.
Yep, not a great fight for LGD, but not that bad. They only lose to Doombringer and the Crystal Maiden. Luna lives, Invoker lives, and they managed to burn the Aegis on Sylar. So Vici won't be able to make an aggressive move until the next Aegis, and especially them still being at a gold disadvantage too. It's about 5,000 gold in favor of LGD right now, but their 5-mana movement around the map is slightly better than LGD's right now. Xiao 8 did manage to get the Doom off on Super, but I mean, he really did not care. He was already in Dragon form. He was very high in terms of HP and was just able to pick the Crystal Maiden off after it wore off.
Taking a look at Rabbit, 3,000 gold tucked away for a rainy day. And we'll see what he wants to go with. I mean, Butterfly always an option. Could end up going straight for a Satanic build. I'm pretty sure it was Rabbit we saw do that yesterday as well. Just go 100% BKB Satanic route of item progression. Makes you tanky, gives you some survivability, especially with the BKB to secure the Satanic shots. But you do usually want some damage. Nope, it will be a Butterfly build. So picking up the Eagle Song with that 3,000.
Xiao 8 has switched to the wolf creep instead of the centaur creep that he had earlier, and I think that's a good choice. Now he has a fair amount of damage, and now he can focus some pretty weak targets down. Like Rubik is exceptionally weak right now. Actually, he does have 2,200 gold, so he can buy a Force if he wants to. And Nature's Prophet is also pretty weak right now. He has a Necro Book for some HP, but they can die in a couple of right clicks, especially if Eclipse actually manages to go on the heroes instead. ROTK actually summoned his Necro Book as soon as the Eclipse went off last time, so nice play by him.
Coming up on 30 minutes in, this game still has a lot ahead of it. We can see the gold advantage has taken a bit of a dip, the experience as well. ROTK has managed to catch up fairly well. Taking a look at the overall net worth, we can see the top three still remain for LGD. Invoker actually at the top. That early Midas paying dividends. And he's got 3,800 gold on top of that, so perhaps a Scythe of Ice would be very effective for him. The Shadow Blade is actually the choice for Super coming out as well.
It's not bad. They need to be able to pick off Invoker or Luna. Invoker and Luna have been living in almost every single one of these fights. Both of them combined only have 2 deaths in this fairly low kill game. So, I mean, they're forced to focus a lot of spells on Doombringer just because he's all up in their face. But he's extremely tanky with the Vanguard, with 23 armor, with the mech. They can't kill him early, so they have to go for one of the weaker targets, but they're not really exposing themselves in the fight. Whenever Luna runs in, he has his BKB up. Whenever Invoker uses his spells, he's pretty far in the back, and he has his Force Staff up too. So if they can surprise him with a Shadow Blade Initiate and BKB, then they can win the fight if Luna or Invoker goes down very, very early.
LGD moving into the dire side jungle. This tier 2 top would seem to be the overall goal. And Vici continuing to play very close to the breast, not giving up a lot of room. We'll find out how long we have on Roshan in just a matter of seconds, but Vici's actually going to group and begin to push out mid. In the meantime, we're going to see LGD converge on this tier 2. They do have a glyph if they want to use it. And they will spend it. Let's see, are they going to react to top? They are. Moving up as, no, never mind. They're going to send Sylar down mid, and they're going to move back up here as a smaller group. Xiao 8 immediately TPing out, and he's going to be able to slow down any aspirations for pushing down that mid tier 2. Very well played by LGD, just taking a tower for free.
Yep, ROTK trying to put pressure on bottom, and Vici can do Roshan when it respawns. Wow, that is almost a full respawn. That's like 2 minutes, 50 seconds probably. That is one of the longest possible times for Roshan respawn. Sylar also has a casual cloak. He doesn't really get doomed, but they still have so much magic damage that it is pretty necessary for him. They could also use a pipe and pop it immediately as Rabbit pops his Eclipse. He has his butterfly completed. Yep,
I was going to say, speaking of Rabbit, that butterfly is done. So the options they have in doing damage to him going to be a little bit limited until the Lone Druid picks up a MKB. He went that item last time around, so not going to be too much of a problem. ROTK, book 3, and on his way to a Scythe of Ice. Already has up his ultimate orb, but MKB, any chance for that, going to be quite a long time in coming, as it's an Assault Cuirass that's picked up by Sylar.
Yeah, it's decent timing for him, especially after the amount of pressure that LGD was putting out in their early game. But now that Luna has her butterfly, they can take down Roshan pretty quickly, especially using 4 spears to tank, using a Grave Chill to mitigate Roshan's damage too. It's not the best place for them to fight, but it's good enough. They need to prevent Vici from getting the next Roshan though, just because Vici traded pretty well last time. They got a 2-for-1, and they got a T2 tower, and that was when they were like 5,000, 6,000 gold behind. And they're still in that same point, so that Roshan definitely kept that gold grab from going up to like a 11,000, 12,000 area.
Taking a look at Invoker, Yao, leading in net worth. He's opted to go with a Refresher's Orb build. So he's going to be, without a doubt, the biggest factor in LGD's
Oh, he has to complete it too. Yep. That's absurd.
Just finished it.
Yep, they're looking at Roshan, but it's still 1 more minute, but they... I mean, both teams know that this Aegis is so important. ROTK already starting the pressure on bottom.
For the next 10 minutes or so, it's all going to be all about Yao. With the butterfly already done on.
We're going to see some huge double meteor blasts. That would be sick.
Exactly. And eventually Rabbit will become the focal point. One would imagine it will be a satanic build. coming out after this.
Tower
Maybe
is under
Manta style.
attack.
We'll have to wait and see. But for now, just trying to deal with Yao is going to be a huge, huge issue. And Vici's
He
actually...
needs Manta style.
Yeah, I agree. Vici is actually continuing to play relatively passively. This is one of the longest stretches of passivity I think I've ever seen out of Vici. Roshan's going to be back up in just a few seconds.
Their lineup's not geared for 5 minutes, meant for pushing, and now that their early push has failed, they have to rely on the split push pressure from the Radiant Spare as well as ROTK. ROTK whittling away on this tower. There goes Rabbit with the TP, and now that Roshan is up, this could be Vici's cue to go. He has to push his lane out ASAP. It's already using Necro 3, and Rabbit trying to beat him down. And there goes a Roshan. They're already headed in there. Rabbit is so far away from this fight. He has his butterfly. Can they fight without him? I don't know.
We have to delay it at least. Sunstrike and Roshan at about 3/4 health. And even using the Wildkin to help ward folks away. Looks like, yep, Vici not confident.
They have the Tornado if they want to stall, but his Wex is only at level 2 right now, so that range on that is pretty pathetic right now. 1200 range. Also, Visage lost 2 of his birds, and his birds aren't off cooldown for another 20 seconds. And now ROTK still applying pressure on top. So this is the exact same story that we saw last Roshan, where, hey, ROTK put pressure on this top lane. This T3 is going to fall if no one is there. Rabbit already there, but again, now Vici's like, hey, well, we can just work on Roach a little bit longer.
Heaven's Halberd completed on Zhao 8. So evasion, name of the game for LGD. And more
this is when you need BOTs.
Yep.
Like Luna needs BOTs so she can TP on the Forward Spirits. She has the gold for it too.
Vici has Roche down to about half health. Siler looking to pick up his second Aegis, and we're going to see Zhao 8 come in. Using the Shivas, tossed down onto the low ground. Fenrir, they're going to end up dead because of it. Roshan ends up dropping, and
where's the Aegis?
The Aegis on the ground. It's right there. Finally, it's picked up by Lone Druid. They couldn't find it. Super's been doomed in the meantime. And the rest of LGD helping to try clear this out.
ROTK is getting a Rax, though.
Taking a look at bottom, ROTK taking down the tier 3, forcing the retreat. And yeah, the Aegis was on the ground for a long time.
That was a very nicely timed Tornado from Yao, but Zhao 8 didn't have an item slot, and they also tried to disable him for as long as possible.
Yep. Didn't manage to get it, though. But LGD able to at least keep this game going. They maintain a lead in kills. They maintain a lead in gold and experience. In fact, Rabbit is beginning to hit critical mass. If he opts to go with a pure Satanic, he'll have the Reaver up momentarily. If he instead goes Manta, then yeah, he's getting close to done with that already.
Now Yao has the BOTs, so he can help aid in just defending against ROTK. I think they need probably one more too, especially one up on Luna. She's running close to running low on item slots too, especially after the Satanic pickup. So looking at Vici, yeah, Siler got the Aegis, but well, was it Siler that got the Aegis? I think he got the Aegis and he died twice too.
Yep,
so now Vici is in a very difficult position because their late game is not that strong. Super, all he has is BKB and Shadow Blade. He doesn't have any damage. Nature's Prophet, he has Sight the Vice and Necro 3. Also no right-click damage from him, just a lot of utility. Lone Druid, he's died then with the Aegis. He's had the Aegis on him for the majority of the game, and he just has a Radiance and AC to 35 minutes in, so he's not nearly as far in his last game. And meanwhile, you're talking about an Invoker with huge amounts of magical output damage with a Refresher and Scepter already in level 17. We see Luna with Satanic almost completed, as well as a Butterfly, and the Doom with the Pack Leader's Aura, giving everyone 30% extra damage. So, I mean, Vici, they are set up to lose the team fights in the upcoming 10 to 15 minutes or so. So they just have to be smart about where they pick their fights. Maybe get use a sheep stick on Nature's Prophet to just pick anybody off who is alone.
Coming up on 36 minutes in, Siler once again has to reconnect, and hopefully we'll have all squared away momentarily. But right now, I mean, we're at that point, you know, coming up on 40 minutes. We knew it was going to be about Yao. And Yao maintains just a gigantic lead. And looks like he's going to be going for a BKB, actually, as he's picked up the Ogre Club. Already has his Scepter and the Refreshers. So his combat effectiveness just through the roof. And his utility, more so than anything else, through the roof. But as you mentioned, if there is any weakness in what he's done, it's the fact that Wex has not been given nearly enough attention. He's maxed Exhort, so he is doing a fair amount of damage, but the utility that LGD might need coming down the stretch could be lacking if Vici can capitalize on it in time. But still waiting to see what the item choice is going to be for Rabbit. Is it going to be Manta, or is it going to end up being a Satanic? He's got just enough for the Reaver now, and still think Manta might be the better choice overall. But either way, LGD still in a pretty solid position moving into the late game phases.
LGD played the early game really, really well, and they would not be in this position if they didn't win their lanes as hard as they did. And there wasn't that many kills in the early game, but the amount of work that Vici and CM did, and especially in keeping Sylar underfarmed, was just so crucial to LGD being in a position that they were now, just because Chen was very underleveled because of how much he had to help top. He had to keep sending wildkins there. They also blocked a couple of spawns. He wasn't able to stack. He wasn't able to get multiple creeps up, and he wasn't able to take down T1s, most importantly. And without the T1s down very early, they don't have that influx of gold that they normally do. The Radiance is much, much delayed. The Midas is really, really late on ROTK, and they also don't have any map control either. And LGD with the early mech on Xiao 8 was just able to take the map by storm, so and create space for Invoker and Luna. So LGD, I think their early game worked out much better than I expected from them. And Vici, their like early mid game push is kind of sort of feeling flat.
Looks like we've had a crash actually, so that's the reason for the delay. Sorry about that. We'll get everything back up and running, and would imagine it was Sylar's. But yeah, well, you can see our crack team handling things, Gianni and Conrad, and of course Colin and the whole D2L crew. And thanks to everyone throughout the tournament so far. Here today, heard some reports of some audio issues, and hopefully we've gotten most of those squared away, both in client and on Twitch. And please let me know on Twitter. I'm at EC. You know, feedback and anything else we need to fix. Make sure you follow Merlini while you're at it. He's at Merlini Dota. But you know, talking about where we stand in the tournament today, I mean, this is our winners bracket finals, and the team that wins here is actually going to be, I mean, it's a pretty big deal. I mean, obviously going to the grand finals at all is a big deal, but going into a best of 5 with a 1-game advantage puts you just 2 wins away from 25 Gs, 25,000, the first place portion of our $50,000 prize pool. And while we're about it, I want to make sure we thank HyperX for all of their support, and of course all of our other sponsors, Astro, Monster, and Razer. More than $100,000 in support to make sure, you know, the teams didn't have to pay a cent to be here. You know, making sure that we got them out here, took care of all their travel and expenses and such. And it's been a great tournament so far, and can't wait to see what the rest of the day has in store. As still a lot, you know, obviously a lot of Dota to be played, but even more so, a lot of fun to be had. Really excited to see Fnatic back in action. I mean, what a thrill was it? I mean, thrill, surprise, just moment of genuine dumbfoundedness to see Alliance fall to Fnatic yesterday, Ben.
And it looks like we're about ready to go.
And loaded back in. And back underway. We're at 36 minutes. And LGD maintains their lead, now moving back across mid lane. We do see, oh good, another pause, and hopefully this will be temporary, but it's actually a Sange picked up by Crystal Maiden, by DD's Crystal Maiden, so maybe on the way to another Halberd.
Yep, Mass Halberds is typically pointing in order for Lone Druid. Kind of forces them to get an MKB, and he can't get a. I mean, technically you can get a BKB on Bear, but it's very, very unusual to do so. And if you have to get a BKB on your Bear because you don't have any other sources of damage, then that's going to be very, very rough on your damage in the mid game. And yeah, I mean, Sylar, he just doesn't have anyone else aiding him in bringing down the tanky LGD heroes. Well.
Another disconnect, and hopefully a temporary one. But talking about the mid game and looking ahead on through as we approach the late game phases, I mean, give me a rundown here, in your opinion. I mean, obviously LGD has the lead; they're in command of this game. But what's the optimum course of action for VG right now? What gives them the best chance to get this game kind of back in their favor, to get to swing the momentum back to their side.
They have to pick smart fights. If they pick a 5-on-5, they're going to lose. They lost the fight with the Aegis, so without the Aegis and with LGD gaining the momentum after the last fight, there's no way, unless LGD like completely botches the execution, that Vici should take a 5-on-5. Especially with Dragon Knight being underfarmed and Lone Druid, or sorry, Nature's Prophet going for the Necronomicon, which is not very useful against the BKBs. It's just a downhill fight from them for the get-go. So they shouldn't fight at 5-on-5s. What they need to do is just look for picks with Nature's Prophet, with the Scythe of Vice, if anyone is standing off alone right now. If you look at the map right now, Yao is the only one who's off alone, and they just need to force buybacks if they can. Like, the heroes on LGD are leveled up so highly right now, level 16 on Doom, 17 on Invoker, 18 on Luna, so that if they die right now, they're going to be forced to buy back because the racks are exposed on top lane. So if Vici just makes a move for that, forces to buy back, pulls back, and then they reset, except they burn the buyback as well as a death on LGD, and they kind of just have to do that and play very smartly. It's very difficult to tackle LGD head-on in a 5-on-5 engagement. Like, if you sheep anybody, they're not going to be able to be bursted down. Doom, 2,400 HP now with evasion, with 23 armor, with damage block, and with the mech heal, no way. Luna with Satanic coming out 900 gold, no way either. Invoker, he's going to be staying in the back too, so you're just going to have to run through all the front line of LGD tank clips, and that's just a losing proposition too. So they can't focus anyone off with the sheep. Yeah, you can get one of the supports, but that's not important. So the 5-on-5, just a losing recipe for them. Try and get the Roshan too. If they can somehow delay the game for 8 or 9 more minutes and then get the Aegis and Cheese, maybe they could take a 5-on-5 then.
Taking a look at the way that Vici's game has gone so far, we can see two big heroes, excuse me, two big heroes in the Lone Druid and the Nature's Prophet that usually you want to be of a very high impact. Siler sitting at 0-2 and 5, but more importantly, ROTK at 1-4 and 8. I mean, he's bounced around and been a part of some of these battles. It's been a relatively low kill match too, only 24 kills across 36 minutes, so he's been a part of 9 of them. But as you mentioned, the Necro book hasn't really paid for itself or justified itself as of yet. And Siler, even though he had the Radiance up at a decent clip, followed it up with an Assault Cuirass that came out at a decent timing as well. Just really haven't felt him have a huge influence as of yet. And they're going to need that to change on both parts if they want to be able to get the game back under control a bit. 3,700 gold in the inventory of Super, and waiting to see what item he's going to want to pick up next. But as we are hopefully going to be getting back underway, looks like everyone has loaded back in and we should be able to resume. Yep, there's the go from Fenrir. And back underway, LGD threatening there. We see Yao's going to go ahead and pull back, and Yao's picked up boots of travel of his own, and that's, you know, you were talking about that earlier, Ben, just having that to account for ROTK so important on at least one, but usually multiple heroes.
Yeah, you just need the hero to be way more farmed than the Nature's Prophet so that he can't even pressure you at all. And now we see LGD making a move for the T2. Vici should not defend this. They need to defend up the hill on the T3. If the bear goes out too far too, they can just get cold snapped and killed too. So they have to be very, very careful about their positioning. No way. Wow, that tower just dropped so fast, especially with the Alacrity on a Rabbit. And ROTK is so far away from the racks on the left side that they could potentially make a push for the T3 if they wanted to.
At this point, ROTK, I mean, especially given he didn't get a Shadow Blade or anything like that, he's going to be real careful at how he extends.
Oh, he's seeping down on bottom. They might actually see him. They know he's there because of the Observer Ward. They don't have a Shadow Blade or any way to get to him, but...
they're just going to go for it. DD trying to chase him down. The Visage Familiars are there. It looks like they're just going to go ahead and take the creeps while they can. But still, not a lot happening for ROTK, while Yao's more than happy to go take all the farm he just shoved right into his lap.
Yep. I guess he's getting a BKB next. He doesn't necessarily need one. I guess it's nice to kind of outlast DK in his BKB, but not completely necessary. He does need to save for buyback, though. All of LGD needs to save for buyback so they don't give up a Roshan. Doom has one. Visage, not important. CM, not important either. Invoker and Luna actually does not, since Luna just completed her Satanic. Oh no, she actually went for Manta style, so
yep.
Screw this Satanic.
Yeah, I mean, we saw her bank a lot of gold. It was tough to tell. And I actually like the Manta pickup quite a bit here. Satanic's nice, but given the position you're in, just having the extra push power, having the ability to manta out of a variety of anything Vici can throw at you. I just feel like that's going to be so much more valuable, and a little bit of bonus damage as well, sitting at 272 now. So Rabbit is a lot more survivable, much more mobile, more important.
We see ROTK trying to pressure the left side. Yao is still there with his BOTs up. He does not have his Midas up, so that's going to be pretty annoying for him to deal with, but the Necro books are about to expire pretty soon. He expends a Meteor Blast and should head right up there with his team if they want to push at the T3. The creep wave is still a little bit far behind, so Yao still has some time. I'm also surprised that ROTK hasn't been focusing the range racks just because it's been a lot of chip damage now and then. ROTK is up there. I think that Yao could actually kill him. There's actually a TP coming out too. Rabbit is going to go in.
And ROTK still hanging around. Rabbit takes the alacrity and just going to take the farm. Looks like they're not even really that interested in trying to pursue out a kill. Just instead make sure that they here continue to get the farm they need. Zhao 8 has another 3,000 gold in his inventory. And taking a look at the net worth, we can see he is...
They know that ROTK is up there.
You know, ROTK's actually caught up fairly admirably in overall net worth. Just again, not feeling super valuable. He's picked up a Mithril Hammer, so maybe a Desolator approach now.
Yep, I'm surprised that LGD didn't make a move for the racks on bottom, considering they took down the T3 about 15 maybe minutes ago, and Yao can just keep ROTK at bay. And he can't actually push that fast. He could leave some Forge Spears there if he really wanted to slow down the push. And now it looks like LGD is finally making a move for another T3. ROTK trying his best to push out bottom lane, but that T3 is still alive and healthy, full 1600 out of 1600 HP. So LGD has a lot of time to bang on this tower.
And the Bear eating a lot of damage. Here comes Super, moving in, pops the Elder Dragon form. Zhao 8 left all to his lonesome. They're going to mech through the damage. Mechs on both sides. The Bear just about to drop. Sylar has a resummon. Certainly doesn't want to spend it quite yet. Super manages to get the Dragon Tail off onto DDC, but no follow-up, as the rest of LGD has to retreat at bottom. We can see ROTK applying sufficient pressure to force a TP back by Rabbit. And Rabbit could pick up a set of bots right now. There's a Scythe of Vice used, and the Sprout to follow it. ROTK trying to hustle away. Yao's right on his tail, though. Throws out the Tornado, comes up a bit short. Probably should have Force Staffed earlier. And Deafening Blast, Refresher, Tornado. And once again, showing off what a big playmaker Invoker can be, especially with these items. He's down for 65 seconds. Let's see if they can capitalize.
I think they can force a buyback out of him. Maybe not too much more than that.
Roche going to be back up here in just about a minute and a half. And no, wouldn't expect anything but for that to be the focal point of the next 10 minutes or so.
I'm surprised that ROTK overstayed his welcome, though. Like, he wasn't going to be able to kill the Luna. Like, yeah, she's hexed, but she has like 500 HP at that point. She has a ton of armor from the HOD and the Butterfly too, and he doesn't have anything else left in his arsenal after the Sheep to kill him off, and he doesn't have a Shadow Blade or a Blink or anything like that to escape either. So a little bit of overextension there. ROTK still down for 20 seconds. Looks like Yao is going to TP on bottom, and now they're knocking on the front door in Vici's base.
Zhao 8 uses the Shivas, toss back in, no tier 3 here to defend. They brought that down a while ago. Rabbit go into town, and BKB's up. And Super's actually caught out. They're not putting a lot of attention on him though, but the Visage Familiars are there as they bring down the melee racks, but more or less a free racks that time. Able to get into a good position, and Zhao 8 so damn tough to bring down. Just leads with his face in these situations.
Yeah, he got telekinesis then, but he really didn't care.
Yeah. Just really, yeah, I mean, he's basically a big punching bag. He runs in, steals attention, tries to force Vici into a bad situation. That's where they were. I mean, Super very nearly died. Just to Visage Familiars were pounding away on him. He was caught in an ice wall as well, was forced to BKB. It was essentially a wasted BKB charge. He got nothing out of it. Now down to just 7 seconds.
Yep. See Rabbit trying to push out top lane. Roshan, we'll see how long he's going to respawn just about now. And it looks like an almost 2-minute respawn. So that doesn't really play too much into either team's favor. If it respawned instantly, then Vici might have been able to take it. But it is not, so I guess it's a slight favor for LGD because they're going to be able to keep up pressure without the threat of Roshan or a T3 coming under siege.
LGD Moving now to top lane. Their Megas will start to push in bottom lane soon enough. And this may be a sustained push as a Satanic is done on Rabbit.
There is a BKB up on the Spirit Bear too, but I mean, if you have to waste 4,000 gold on that, you're still not going to have any damage. Look how much damage Rabbit is putting out by himself on the T3.
Super eating a considerable chunk of that too on nothing but Blade Bounce. And still continuing to hang around. Assault Cuirass actually done, or all but done on Jowade. And here we go. Shivas is up. Super's there, already down to half health. Rabbit, telekinesis and drop back down. Here comes the Meteor. The Satanic plus BKB on Rabbit, though, allowing him to heal through the damage. The Bear on the run. Tier 3's down. ROTK gets off the Sprout, but eating a lot of right-click damage and Forge Spirits plus auto attacks. That'll just about be that. Buybacks are out. But at this point, Rabbit doing a lot of work on his own and even managing to heal through it. And Mantis keeps himself alive. There's a Sunstrike on ROTK and cleaned up from behind. Rabbit down to as low as 100 HP, finishes this game with a triple kill. And just like that, we have our first team in the grand finals. LGD heading to the grand finals out of the winner's bracket. Vici falls to the lower bracket where they will meet Fnatic. And still waiting on our Ancient to blow, but that's okay. As a very nice performance coming out of LGD that time around. And Vici, I mean, they certainly made a game of it, Ben, but in the end, LGD, you know, this is what I talked about during the draft. I mean, both teams are good at 5-on-5. Both teams are good at pedal to the metal kind of approaches. But LGD has shown over and over again that they are great in the late game in terms of decision making, in terms of movement, and that carried them through here for sure.
Their strategy and execution was just so much better than the second game. They had the team fight potential, they had much better laning phase, and without the Pugna on the side of Vici, they weren't able to execute their goals in the early mid-game. So I think that LGD just learned a lot from their mistakes in the second game and showing that they are an adaptive team and that they can run other things than cookie-cutter heroes.
Well, LGD, as you said, showing they can have a little bit of flexibility in their drafting. They're definitely going to need it moving into the grand finals. Now again, they won not only here, that not only means they punch their ticket to the grand finals, but they go in with a one-game advantage over whoever happens to come out of our last lower bracket match. That'll be Vici taking on Fnatic. And Fnatic's an interesting story. I mean, they're kind of the Cinderella, the fan favorites, the darlings of the tournament after upsetting Alliance yesterday and bouncing them out as our first team to be kicked out of the D2L or to lose their way out. Looking ahead, Vici and Fnatic coming up next. Give me in a few sentences your preview of that series.
I think that Fnatic can take Vici out of their element, though. Vici, like when they can't five-man together in the early game, as we saw Alliance when Alliance just destroyed them, as we saw this game when LGD got off to slightly too good of a start in their early game, Vici just just doesn't have that much left in them. And they're not that good at Rat Dota. They're not that good at applying pressure around the map without five. So I think that Fnatic can take full advantage of that. They also should ban out Pugna, I think. Pugna is a very keystone hero to Vici's early five-man strategy. Other than that, I think Fnatic, they can also play greedy drafts too. They can go with an Evoker, as we saw LGD go. They can go with a Shadow Fiend too. As long as they have enough team fights to fend off the early five-man from Vici, I think that Fnatic actually has a decent shot going into this best of three.
Yeah, really looking forward to it. Hang on. Come on, come on. There's one of the guys that'll be representing Fnatic coming out. Yeah, just a true creeper, Mr. Demon. But that series is coming up. Fnatic taking on Vici in our lower bracket final. And while we wait on all the teams and players to get set up, guys, make sure you check out these awesome new headsets from HyperX. You can find them for pre-order on Newegg. It's newegg.com, and make sure I give you the right address. HyperX D2L S4 Finals. And a lot of really cool discounts going on from HyperX right now in terms of solid-state drives and RAM as well. You can find all of that on Newegg, but I swear to you, this is probably the most comfortable headset I've had on in a long time, if ever. It's like wearing couches on your ears. Did you ever get a chance to put it on?
They don't feel like couches.
They don't feel like couches. You lie. You lie.
Couches are very heavy. My
very
ears
heavy. Good point. It's actually a remarkably light headset. But yeah, this is HyperX's debut.
You need a better analogy. Couches to butt equals this to ears.
Yeah, that's kind of what we're pushing for. I love it. It just makes me want to take a nap. My ears want to take a nap whenever I put them on. But yeah, check that out on Newegg, guys. This is the brand new debut HyperX in getting into the headset market and doing so with style. So Fnatic versus Vici coming up in just a few minutes. We'll be right back here on the HyperX D2L with our lower bracket finals. And Anna will be taking us out.
Thanks, Aaron. I'm up here with Yao. Let's hear it for LGD, the winner of the match. Now, Yao, you mentioned that your team had figured out what you needed to do in order to take down VG, and ultimately you did. So what was it that you figured out? What were the strats or the instincts or the team mechanics that allowed you to take this series?
因为你赛前说过，就你们为每个队都有做准备。那现在把 VG 拿下了，能不能透露一下为他们做的准备有哪些？
因为等会儿可能还会打 VG， 然后不好透露太多。不过我们就是大家众所周知，VG 这个队他们的节奏点就主要是中路，然后越路，然后我们主要是想通过压制他吧。就是每个中国队对他们的打法都是这样的。
There's we might play them again in the finals, so they can't really reveal too much. But what they really, one of the key things that they and most Chinese teams do when playing against VG is to try to limit their mid player, because that's where their tempo comes from.
Great. Well, one thing we don't get to see very often is invoker play. Everyone was really excited. The crowd cheered when you picked it. So can you tell us a little bit about what motivated that choice and how that may have helped you win the game?
我们不常见卡尔现在。但是你们是选出第5选出了卡尔，那能不能说一下选他的理由？
首先因为平时我使用卡尔就是比较偏爱这个英雄，然后还有就是对面的阵容，出 BKB 的英雄不是很多，而且主要是一个偏推进，然后卡尔的防守能力很强，而且后期能力很强，然后再加上对面的英雄就是比较少 BKB， 然后就比较厉害。
Mainly, it's because the other team's roster would lack a lot of BKB carriers, and Invoker is also one of his favorite heroes. And he's good against push. He's good defensively, and he's good late. So those were the reasons.
Sounds good to me. Well, now you go on to the grand finals, which is very exciting, and you may, like you said, again face VG. Do you think that's going to be the case? Do you predict that you will have a rematch of this match?
那你是否觉得总决赛就是会对阵 VG？
就是两种可能性都有吧，但是我们比较倾向于面对 VG 吧。
Both are possibilities, but maybe they're leaning a bit more towards playing against VG.
Always very well mannered and well put. Thanks so much. Let's hear it again for our winners. And we're going to go to a quick break, and we'll get right into the next match. Thanks, guys.